What age do you think the youngest woman to ever give birth was? 13, 10, or maybe even 7? If you had guessed any one of those, then you were close, but the correct answer is amazingly even lower than those. Today I'm going to tell you the very shocking and true story of the youngest woman in history to give birth. Our story begins in Peru in a poor Indian village in Tecrapo, Castelarina province where Lina Marcela Medina de Jordaro was born September 23rd, 1933 to her parents Tibiretto Medina, her father a silversmith, and Victoria Losi, who was a housewife. She was one of 9 children, which is just crazy to me because like I can imagine having 8 siblings. Sometimes I can barely tolerate the 3 I have now. So it's like I just can't imagine. And then like because they were poor, I'm assuming they didn't live in a very big house. So like just having all those people together and having all those other siblings and stuff like that. Like honestly, I feel like her parents were a little bit too poor to be that busy to have that many kids. Cause just no, it couldn't be just no too much for me. In the early spring of 1933, Lena, at the age of 5, was taken to the hospital in Pisco due to increasingly abnormal growth in her belly. Her parents had thought it was maybe a tumor or something, and originally so did the doctors, but it was later learned that she was in her 7th month of pregnancy.
What? What the f?
I know, shocking, right? Like I honestly couldn't believe it when I first read that. But shocking as it sounds, Dr. Gerardo Lazada has specialists in Lima confirm it. So yeah, she was pregnant. Like I don't even know as a parent, what do you do? You hear that? Like, do you freak out? Do you like? I just want to know. For me, I know I would probably be shocked because I couldn't believe I was here, and then start panicking, asking like, God, why is this happening? How can this happen? And then third, be angry because I'd be like, who did this? Like, I just honestly don't know what you would do as a parent. Like, I know it's a thought most parents, would even want to have that something that can possible or happen to their child. But I don't know, man. I just what would you even do? Because I would just be in a total state of shock. 1939, Lena gave birth to a 6-pound baby boy. Through a C-section was when they opened the stomach and took out the baby. This was the safest route because her pelvis was still too undeveloped to give birth naturally. The procedure was performed by Dr. Lazada and Dr. Brizalu, with Dr. Corrida providing anesthesia. At the time of giving birth to her son, Lena was 5 years old, 7 months and 21 days, making her the youngest woman in history to give birth. Now, just think about that. Think about that. 5 years old is when she gave birth. Like, it's honestly shocking. When you think of that, you wouldn't think the human body would be capable of doing that or that even be possible. Like, imagine her grandparents holding their first grandchild, and they're not even, and their child's not even a teenager yet here they are holding their first grandchild, making them the youngest grandparents of history. Like, I just want to think it's crazy. And it's just truly shocked what the human body is capable of, because you shouldn't be capable of something like that at just 5 years old. But it happened. It's here. We have it recorded. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like it's just, I was just shocked when I read it, and I'm still shocked hearing it now. It's just something that's just unbelievable. Now you're probably wondering how in the hell is this even possible? Since at the age of 5, she should even have had her first period, which usually is the first sign of puberty, which usually begins at the age of 12 and 15. Everything is 8 for girls. However, the doctors discovered she had fully mature sexual organs caused by a rare genetic condition, precocious puberty. Precocious puberty is when puberty usually occurs early in age, causing adult features to appear on the child's body. For girls, it could be something like fully developed breasts or wider hips. And for boys, it could be chest hair or having a deeper voice. Lena, in further examination, showed a more developed body. She had fully developed breasts and wider hips. Precocious puberty affects 1 in every 10,000 children. Normally affects girls 10 times more than boys. Imagine that. Imagine a little girl or boy having like fully developed breasts or chest hair. It's just crazy that it could even happen. It could also happen on the opposite sex. So something like a girl could have chest hair or a boy could have fully developed breasts. It's just completely crazy to think that something like that can happen. I never even knew this was even a thing, that this even existed until I started researching about her. To think that this is real, it's just, I mean, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe this. There could be some kid out there right now with fully developed breasts or having a man's voice at the age of like 6. It's just completely crazy. There is no direct cause of precocious puberty, or at least one has been identified. There are many things that have been considered to cause precocious puberty, such as a tumor or injury in the brain. Other injuries on the body, such as the central nervous system, have said to cause precocious puberty as well. Things such as sexual abuse or children being introduced to sex too young have said to cause it as well. Precocious puberty nowadays is treated with a synthetic hormones, which stops the growth until the child is older. Precocious puberty, while rare, there are cases of kids 2 and under that have been diagnosed with precocious puberty. But what made Lena special was that when Dr. Umundo Escumo reported her case to the medical journal La Presa Mexico, he included that her menstrual cycle happened at only 8 months old, her very first one. That is something that is extremely rare, and she is the only known case. Now, did you guys hear me? Her first menstrual cycle happened at only eighth month old. Like, that is absolutely insane. Like, I can't even imagine a baby having their very first menstrual cycle. Like, you bleed when you have your first menstrual cycle, if I'm not wrong, you know. So like, I just don't know. Like, did she bleed at 8 months old? Did the parents know what was going on? Like, it's just crazy to think that something like that could even happen. When the news of Linda giving birth came out, it of course shocked the world, because who wouldn't be shocked by a 5-year-old giving birth? There were many newspapers from Peru and United States trying to get an interview with Lena and offer thousands of dollars to publish her story. One report in the San Antonio Light in Texas, July 16, 1939 edition, a Peruvian obstructionist and Midwife Association had quoted in the Peruvian newspaper La Crónica that an American film studio had sent a representative with a sum of offer of $5,000 for the rights to Lena's story and to bring her family to America, but they reported that the family had rejected the offer. The association also had demanded that Lena be admitted to a nationwide maternity hospital, which might have been the best thing because her family was poor and then the hospital probably would be able to take care of her better. Dr. Imundo is reported to have recorded videos of Lena for the rest of the medical world to see, but some were reported to have fell into a river during a trip to her home. So there really is like no recorded footage of her that we know or that's been released to the public, but damn, would I have liked to see it, or maybe not. I know one of the questions you are asking yourself now is, who is the father? And the answer to that question is, we don't know. Leah never revealed the father of her child, though a lot of people believe she probably doesn't remember because she was so young, which, you know, she was 5 years old. It would make sense she probably doesn't remember. When Dr. Imundo questioned her about the identity of her child's father, she couldn't give her precise responses. Lena's own father, Tiburello, was taken to custody on the suspicion of assault and incest, but there was no evidence, so they had to let him go. He also denied that he did anything to his daughter. There are reports that in villages like Lena's, there are known to have festivals or parties where, I don't know how else to say this, but orgies happen. It's not uncommon for assaults to happen. So many people believe this is where Melina could have gotten pregnant at, which is just horrible and scary to even think about. Like, I guess because these villages are so like poor, that they do things like this to have fun, you know. But like the fact that that happens and it's still going on, and that it could have happened to Lena, like it's just scary and shocking. Now again, there's no official source of who the child's father is or how she got pregnant, but whether it was her father or whether it was in some type of village party or something, it's just scary that that happened, and it's just really a shame because she should not have been pregnant at that age. Lena would name her son Gerardo after Dr. Gerardo who helped birth him. 2 years later, a specialist in child education, Paul Coase, would visit the family to check on Lena and Gerardo. Gerardo was in good health, and Lena herself showed a higher level of intelligence than normal, so she was a smart mama. An obstetrician named Jose Sandoval wrote a book about Melina, saying she liked to play with her baby dolls more than her actual baby, which is kind of funny to me. Like, imagine it, because she's still like 5, like 2 years, she's still like 7, she's like 7 years old now. Imagine her sitting there with her baby and her baby doll instead of feeding and playing with her baby. she's playing with the baby doll instead. Is like feeding the baby doll instead of her actual baby doll. I'm pretty sure like her parents are probably the one doing most of the caretaker at that time, but still, I think it's just funny that he said she liked to play with her baby dolls more than her actual baby, which makes sense. She's like 7 years old. Like, what do you, what do you expect? Lena and her family thought of Gerardo as a baby brother, and he thought Lena was his sister, telling the truth when he was 10 years old, which means Lena was about 15, so she was either in 8th grade or ninth grade, and just wow, like imagine like the thoughts that were going through Geraldo's head when he learned that the woman he thought was his sister for 10 years was actually his mom, and she's not that much older than him. Like, can you imagine going to the same school as your mom? Your mom's only like 5 or so years older than you. Like, it's just freaking crazy. Like, honestly, like I can't imagine it. Like, I can't even think what was going through his head. I mean, he was only 10, so I don't know how much if he was even able to comprehend all of it. But like, it's just absolutely crazy. There are some reports saying Dr. Gerardo Lazada had got custody of the baby, but I don't know if that's true or not, so don't quote me on that. Many people believe that the story was a hoax because, hearing a 5-year-old gave birth is pretty crazy, and that the family was just trying to get attention. But there have been many doctors over the years who have verified the claims based on biopsies, X-ray of the fetal skeleton in the uterus, and photographs that were taken. Their family also went completely isolated. They never did interviews. They never talked to the public. They just completely went away. So to me, that's saying that they weren't doing this for attention. They didn't want this to happen. They were actually probably ashamed of it and probably what people thought of them. So there's no way it was fake. And of course, like I said, there's evidence proving that she did give birth. Lena worked as a secretary in Dr. Gerardo's clinic. That helped her pay her way through school as well as her sons as well. Lena would later marry a man named Raul Gerardo in the early 1970s and have her second son in her early 30s. While Gerardo lived a good and healthy life, he unfortunately died in 1979 of bone marrow disease. He was 40 years old. Lena to this day still lives with her husband in a poor neighborhood of Lima, continuing to live her life far away from the public eye. The most recent news about her that I could find was her refusal to do an interview with Reuters, a news company. Thank you all for watching. I had an amazing time researching Lena's case. It honestly blew me away because I just couldn't believe something like that was even possible. And it's still shocking even now after I've recorded the video. So if you guys felt the same thing I did, let me know down below in the comment section. Was this your first time hearing Lena's story? What did you think about it? Also, is there any other topics you would like me to cover? Any other things that are interesting you, stories, please let me know down below. I really appreciate the feedback. Make sure to give me a thumbs, subscribe, and share, guys. If you enjoyed, I would really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.